Well, first, I would say that vulnerability is actually one of the results of self-love, becoming brave enough to be vulnerable in a healthy way. If you're listening to a podcast about self-love, you've said yes. You've sent a message to the universe.
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take it right, we can take it slow. Yeah.
And I'd love to know, what makes you you? What gets you up in the morning? How would you define yourself to someone who doesn't know you?
I am a woman in the pursuit of feeling good and helping other people do the same. I am a mama of a 3-year-old Oliver, who is the coolest fucking child ever. And a mama to Jimmy Blue, my kitten, who is here with us now.
Yes.
And she's a little baby. And a wife to Zach. And I am just a woman who's proud to be sitting in the seat that I'm in today, just really comfortable in my skin and just really proud of who I am.
I mean, I'm proud of you too. Making it onto the road to self-love is a big deal. So you should definitely be celebrating yourself.
Yeah. The subtitle of my second book, Spirit Junkie, was The Radical Road to Self-Love and Miracles. And it's funny because that was a memoir that I wrote when I was 28. And little did I know that I had like a lot more memoir in me.
Yeah.
But I was already, at a very young age on a journey of self-love. That's right.
I think that we are all on some sort of self-love journey, regardless if we know it or not. And I think that's what I've really been coming to understand as I continue to host these interviews. So how is that process for you? Because I know that vulnerability and authenticity for me are superpowers, but a lot of people are scared to speak their truth because they're worried about what other people will think of them.
Well, first, I would say that vulnerability is actually one of the results of self-love. Becoming brave enough to be vulnerable in a healthy way, right? Because there's other kinds of vulnerability that are like, just, see me, hear me, know me, but healthy vulnerability, grounded vulnerability is definitely a after effect of real self-love, genuine self-love. And for me, writing this book, Happy Days, The Guided Path from Trauma to Profound Freedom and Inner Peace, could only be written when I was sitting in this presence of self-love genuinely, and could only come through when I was really knowing what it meant to live with freedom and inner peace. And that's how I was able to be so vulnerable in this book, because I feel safe enough in my past and safe enough in my present system to be able to be that vulnerable, to be able to be that forthcoming, to be able to just lay it all out as I do, and be very confident in that.
What would you say to someone who's like hearing this and being like, oh, wow, yes, I want that, but is really scared to take that first step? Like, what would you say to them?
I would say to them that they're already taking the first step by listening to this podcast. If you're listening to a podcast about self-love, you've said yes. You've sent a message to the universe. It's like, I'm a yes for feeling a greater connection to myself. Whether that's already happening for you or not doesn't matter. You've already put it in motion. And then the next step could be open up your consciousness to receive more guidance. So trust the guidance that you're receiving in this moment. You're led to this podcast. You're listening to me. I'm mentioning this book. I mean, it may not be this book. It could be somebody else's book, but I'm speaking of principles and heartfelt stories and methods that are proven methods for deepening your connection to yourself. And trust the guidance that you've received. You're already on the path. You can begin the journey by listening and continuing to listen to this podcast.